Hello and welcome to the Jiu-Jitsu Times. My name is Chris Sahar, and today I have on the phone former bantamweight title contender Kat Zingano. Kat, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much, Chris.
Great. Okay, so Kat, the first thing our readers want to hear about is what's going on with you and Chris Cyborg. I understood she blocked you from Twitter a little while ago, didn't she?
Yeah. Um, it's a little complicated. I mean, I've seen her, known of her for an extremely long time, and I remember when I was at a jiu-jitsu tournament in Colorado. It was actually when that we used to run. She was brought in as a guest, and I remember seeing her across the mat. She was, I think, cornering somebody, and at that point, I hadn't really done much MMA. I think I had maybe 2 amateur fights or something like that. And I remember seeing her and how big she was and how strong she was and, like, just everything about her. And I was like, I'm so curious. I want to know what would happen between me and her. Like, I think I could beat her. Even though I didn't have that much experience, I think as far as my heart and my will, my athleticism, I remember just wanting to ride that ride, you know. And there was a point where I was like, I'm going to introduce myself. I want her to remember my face, you know. So I went up to her, and she was bent over at the mat, and I put my hand on the back of her arm, like kind of like around her tricep. And, you know, she turned around to stand up, and at this point she didn't speak any English. And as she stood up, she just kept getting bigger and bigger. And I just remember looking, like when she got to her tallest point, she was like, way bigger than me, like huge. And I was like, whoa. And because my hand was on the part of her arm that it was on, it was like I just remember there was no squish to her arm. There was like no, like it was just rock solid.
Just like pure
holy
muscle,
crap.
huh?
Yeah, I was like, holy crap, you know. And then you know, I remembered the purpose was to go over there and introduce myself and tell her someday I would love to stand across from her. And I I did. I was like, hey, my name is Kat Zingano. I just want to introduce myself. Someday I hope to compete against you. And I don't think she understood anything. She just kind of nodded and smiled, and I was just like, this is going well, you know. And you know, shook her hand and you know, walked away. She squatted back down and, you know, resumed what she was doing. And I just remember feeling her arm. I remember shaking her hand. I remember looking in her eyes and watching her breathe. And I was just, you know, visualizing that someday I want to figure her out. You know, I want to go in and lock horns with that girl. And, you know, she had an energy about her that I really wanted to harness and to fix and figure out. So, you know, fast forward a bunch of years, and here we are now at the same level. And I think, you know, back then I didn't know anything about her supplementing. You know, I didn't actually know women were into doing that. I guess I thought it was only like a man thing because I don't know what I knew about like PEDs at the time, but I thought they only like worked on men or something. I don't know. And so, I mean, I know that I can be kind of like when I'm lean and whatever, I'm pretty jacked too. So I figured she's just genetically kind of something like that with me. And I think that one of the things I said, which was tricky because it's what I meant, but I think it maybe came out a little more harsh when I did an interview because it's written. There's no emotion to something that's being written. But I said, you know, here we are at the same level, and the things I had to do to get here are different than the things she did to get here. And, you know, because she thought she needed to do that to get an advantage, technically means I'm better than her because I'm here and she's here, but I did it with will and heart and struggle and sacrifice and hard work, where, yes, she did all of that too, but she has like an and column, you know. And that to me, like, knowing that she's used the things that she's used, and I mean, her decision, her choice, and I also realized that she's been clean for a while. You know, it just, in my mind, doing my own math, it was just like, those are the kind of things that, like, you know, I fought Karina Dam
Mm-hmm.
years back. And I know Karina had gotten busted for steroids a few times. And when she did, and I had her as an opponent, it was a completely different kind of nerves because I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know if it meant she was stronger. I didn't know if it meant she was faster. I didn't know if it meant like some crazy cardio. I didn't know what it meant, but it made me fight her scared, which made me fight her better. And I couldn't give her an inch, and I wanted to punish her and almost be like the karma that came with doing something like that. And I feel the same sensation towards Chris. And the tricky part of it is I'm very, 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 very good friends with her boyfriend, Ray.
Oh,
And
really?
within that, I have a respect for Chris that I mean, I respect all my opponents and everything to that nature, but it's different. You know, I've had to sit at dinner with Chris before because I'm visiting my friend Ray. And so we have to look at each other on that level almost as sisters, you know,
Yeah.
where, you know, on the competition side, I can't care about her and I don't want to care about her. And it makes it a little bit complicated because I'm a girl's girl and I support women on every side of this. However, when they're the one trying to get me, like, oh, hell no, you know? And so I think I offended her with being too true to my statements. And that's, you know, it's unfortunate, but at the same time, you don't get to go do the things you do without consequence. Like, I feel like that's life in general.
Absolutely.
I mean, karma doesn't forget. And those are things that, knowing that she did that and that whatever, I mean, it does put some confidence in my back pocket because I know what it took for me to get here. And it was getting through it all. And without help on a lot of different levels, you know, if anything, with things being harder and harder and harder, and the hard parts are what made me better, not finding ways to make it easier. Yeah. So I do want to fight her. That's the thing is I want to go up to 145. I want to stay in the 135 division purely because I've beaten the last two champions, and I think that it's obviously attainable for me to get that belt because those girls, not only did I beat, but I smashed. Yeah. And both of them were coming off of fights that almost everything in my life and my world was extremely screwed up at the time, and I still found a way to win. You know, with Misha, my husband was extremely depressed, and we had all the, like, I mean, he was my coach. Like, there was so much turmoil and the stuff that he was going through. But, and then with Amanda, my husband had just died, you know, and I came off of my knee injury, and, like, I hadn't fought in 18 months, and, you know, before I fought Misha, I had just beaten the crap out of Raquel Pennington. So it's not like I've had a shortage of talented opponents the past few fights.
Absolutely.
You know, so just a ton of adversity. This is the first point in my life that things have just been going smooth for me for a while. So I'm like looking for something to knock on right now, some wood to knock on. But I feel like this is it. This is the time. I've had some injuries. I've had some things that I really needed to fix. And I know it's been hard for people to be patient with me on it, but it's something that when it's time, I'll reveal it, and it's going to help a lot of people. But as far as right now, there's things with me that I need to fix so I can go out there and be my best me, not just for everybody's entertainment value, but for me and what I'm willing to do to lead this nation as champion.
Absolutely.
And I was the 125-pound champion. I know I have the ability to be the 135-pound champion. I mean, clearly there's math to that one. And then 145, I think I have the answer for Chris. And, you know, that's something that I don't want to sit here and have words for. It's something that I want to show and prove. And I believe I'm the one to do it. And, you know, I'm not asking for automatic belief in that. It's seriously, I want people to sit back and watch me.
Absolutely. It sounds like you could go either way. Like if Dana White called you up tomorrow and said, hey, you want to fight Chris Cyborg, or hey, you want to fight Amanda Nunes, you'd be open to both, right?
Oh, absolutely. And the reason that, so I've talked about fighting Chris online a few times. You know, I've been the one where everyone's saying they don't want to do it, and I'm like, I'll do it, send me. But like I said, I have these medical things that, I mean, I'm not, I was actually at one point willing to budge on, but when I got checked out, the UFC actually thought it would be better for me, and they're the ones that want to keep me out until I have this evidence of the things going on with me being better, because when they do, that fight will be 1,000 times more epic than should I go in feeling crappy. The thing is that, I mean, in this sport, it's a selfish sport. It's a selfish sport for the fans. They're ready to see what they're ready to see when they're ready to see it. And us as fighters, we have to do what's best for us, because we're the ones at the end of the day, at the end of our careers, that have to walk away either loving or hating how we did. And I know when I'm healthy, and none of us are 100%. I know when I'm healthy, when I'm my healthiest, none of these girls can touch me. And that I feel like I've been able to prove. And the fights that I have not been healthy, I think, speak for themselves. And, you know, the UFC wanted to keep me out. We all agreed to give me some more time, and they're actually helping me with these treatments, like covering it, introduced me to stuff. Like the stuff that I'm doing is amazing. And again, it's something that when my process is complete, it's going to help a lot of people. I mean, a lot of fighters especially, but I think people in general going through different things. My life has been a blender that got turned upside down the last few years, and to think that there's no residual effects from that is ridiculous. And you know, I'm making the best of it. I'm making the most of it. I'm taking every opportunity I can to better myself, because I want to show people that there is ways to fix things that sometimes feel like they're unfixable. And yeah, so I want to fight it. I want to go up to that weight, and when the time is right, it's going to happen. And I think I had something else to add to that, but I don't know. I guess let's keep going.
Okay, no
Sorry.
Oh yeah, no problem at all. Okay, so let's say theoretically, you do get a fight with Amanda Nunes. Do you think you'd be fighting the same Amanda Nunes that you fought before? Do you think that she's probably improved a lot, or do you think you'd have a tougher time with her? Or?
No, I don't think it's the same Amanda, and it won't be the same Kat. You know, I smashed her. She the first round I went to go belly to belly her just like I did the rest of the fight, but I didn't have that arm secured, and I pulled her right on top of me, which was the one place you shouldn't end up under her. And so, you know, that ended up being my bad, and it really humbled me as far as getting my head bounced off the mat for 4 minutes, you know. But as soon as I decided I was going to let her do that, you know, it was switched around. She went after my knee, and my knee was the entire catalyst for a ton of things in my life going wrong. You know, my husband was depressed, but losing the Ultimate Fighter slot, like, shot him off the charts with his depression. And I lost that slot because of my knee blowing. And so, you know, getting back into that fight, getting my first fight back after, and that's the tip of the iceberg. The stuff that came with that, before that, like, my entire life, my entire world was extremely chaotic and crazy and rough. And I mean, again, something that I'll probably be able to talk about at a different time. But you know, the person Amanda had to face that day was somebody surviving, somebody purely just like, all I wanted to do was get in there and show myself that I could do it. And I lost my coach. I had a completely different team. I had 18 months off. I was afraid to even stand because my knee was still so insecure. But my heart, my mind, like, I needed something to do and to focus on, because that it was my therapy. It was my therapy to go to the gym and to train and to move and to have that break from thinking about all of that crap, you know? And so to get in there and just fight was the goal. And then when she went after my knee, I took it personally, and I was just like, oh no, you're dead now. You know, like, don't fucking touch that. And then, you know, the whole thing was turned around, and the rest of it was punishing her for that, which was almost me speaking up for myself, me standing up for myself for so much of the things that had been hurting and going through my mind. And then, you know, so that wasn't me either, you know, and to think that I haven't improved is crazy, and to think that she hasn't improved is crazy. So I'm sure it's good. However, I broke her. And when things got hard for me, I got stronger. When things got harder from her, she fell apart. And that's the difference between me and Amanda Nunes. And she knows that. She remembers. There's no way you don't remember the way I made you feel that night. And to decide and want and opt to go against me again, especially when I'm at my lowest low, I think she would be my highest high. And granted, she's done a lot of things to improve and change, but she's not calling me out, and I'm the one that beat her. So to me, that says something, because I want to face everybody that scored on me ever. You know, you can believe that when I have my belt, that Juliana Pena is fighting me, and Ronda Rousey is hopefully fighting me, should she still be even wanting to do this anymore. I know it's tough to want to do when people have treated her the way they have. And these are all things that, I mean, you can count on. Like, I'm vengeance. I'm here. I'm getting back what I want and what I've deserved and what I've earned. And those things are my I don't know. It's I need to fix these things. I wanted to fight Misha again because I didn't think I fought to my capacity, you know, and I still won. But these are things, that's how I have to do in life. Like, a lot of times it takes me twice to get things right. I'm not a one-shot wonder. I need experience, and those experiences are how I learn everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's interesting that you brought up Ronda, because actually that's what the next person I wanted to ask you about. What do you think's going on with Ronda? She just, it was like at one point she was just almost unstoppable. People thought she was just unstoppable in the bantamweight division. And unfortunately, I mean, do you think like people just figured her out, or is there something else maybe going on?
Well, people lose in sports.
Yeah.
Tell me one person that never lost. Muhammad Ali lost. Tyson lost. Football teams lose. Like,
no, absolutely.
MMA is so unforgiving as far as you having a bad day at work. And granted, so Ronda and I have a deep respect for each other, partially because, I mean, it was even before my husband died. We had a connection, and I don't know why. Like, we have a lot of mutual friends, and we've always been okay. I don't know what it was, but you know, especially after my husband died, and now we have that stupid club in common, you know, where her dad commits suicide and her dad's dad commits suicide. Like, we have this unfortunate bond that sucks, but it makes us want to understand and take care of each other, I guess. However, I can't say we're friends. You know, it's maybe after all of this is over. But it's a respect thing, and I'll go to bat for her. I respect her, and I know she respects me. But the thing is she paved the way by being unreasonable, by saying unreasonable things, by saying off-the-wall things that either made people love her or hate her, which evoked emotion. And when you evoke emotion in a crowd of a sport that's so emotional, people are going to love you or hate you, which means they're going to tune in to either watch you win or either watch you lose. And that was very smart on her part. However, being the heel, you know, and turning into, I guess a bad guy, made life a little bit harder for her as far as socially with what happens when you maybe have your bad day at work. You know, someone normal, an accountant, having a bad day at work means they screw up on some numbers, and maybe one client is unhappy with them, or one business is unhappy with them, and they just get to go crunch some numbers again and fix it and hand it back, potentially within the same day or within whatever, you know. It's a small window of things, you know, but MMA is not that way. Everyone is looking at you, and everyone is judging you and telling you what you're made of and what you're worth. And you screw up, you have a bad day, then they tell you who you are and your value to this world, you know. And when I lost to Ronda, no one had remembered. I mean, a lot of people had, but a lot of people didn't remember what I went through to even get into that ring that night.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, people were hashtag 14 seconds me, you know, where it was just like, you think this fight mattered? The fight that matters is the one that it took to get here. Like, the fight that matters is the shit that hurt more than anything in the world to walk in here today, and you guys are just ripping on me right now, you know. And Granted, I never had the mouth on me that she had, but,
Mm-hmm.
she goes and she loses these last 2 fights, which happens in life. People don't get to always win everything.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely.
but the way people ripped her up and ripped her to pieces, and and I know everyone doesn't feel bad for her. The people that hate her don't feel bad for her, which is fine. But,
Mm-hmm.
she admitted to feeling suicidal. She admitted to feeling crappy, and it doesn't matter why. It doesn't matter why. She has it in her family, in her blood. Clearly, it's something that's going on in her DNA, and instead of people understanding that and wanting her to get better, they're ripping on her and telling her she's a piece of shit and
Mm-hmm.
she should kill herself. Or, when are you fighting again, you pussy? And it's just like, she doesn't even want to live right now. Why do you think why the hell
Yeah.
would you think she wants to fight? To entertain
Yeah.
you, so you can just rip her apart? That's not going to be her best fight. Look at her. She's not feeling okay. She doesn't even know if she wants to be here anymore.
Yeah.
That takes a lot for someone to say, especially publicly. And I know when I lost, I got some pretty nasty things from people. There's a man saying that he knows I'm tough, but if he wanted, he could rape me.
Oh my God. Who
And
said
these are
that?
it's a message, a guy that I had to block on things. There's other
Oh
men,
God.
and like these are the kind of things we get as women. I'm
Mm-hmm.
guaranteeing you, George St. Pierre haven't heard something like that.
No.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
guaranteeing you, Chuck Liddell has never been completely judged on his looks and told is a good fighter or not based on
Mm-hmm.
his boobs or his butt or how flat his stomach is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it's a completely different world for us women, and it's very, very hard and very, very difficult when we're passionate about what we do and we're trying to be the best at what we do, and the people that we're partially doing it for are very conditional.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, it's hard to feel supported when the love is unconditional. But what we need to remember is that it's not real love and it's not real hate. They don't really hate us and they don't really love us. But sometimes it's hard to know and it's hard to feel it and it's hard to remember. And those are the things that are coming with the social media these days, and those are the things that I want to work on and move forward with our youth, because this stuff is very, very damaging, even for the toughest people in the world.
Mm-hmm. Now, you said you wanted to move forward with it with your with youth. What are you trying to do in order to help youth move forward with this? In order to help youth with this?
I don't necessarily have the words for it. All I have is to try to lead by example.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, there's so much that I've been through. There's so much that I'm under the eye of. There's so much judgment going on today in general, let alone in this sport. I mean, this sport is about anger and aggression and war and violence, but I don't feel like it has to be. I feel like it can be a martial art. I feel like it can be self-expression and us being out there, using self-defense, using ancient techniques, and mixing them together to literally have these combative spirits of who wants it more, who's worked it more, who knows what to do, who reads, who understands patterns, like all of
Mm-hmm.
that. And I mean, finding ways to ignore it and maybe even understand it enough. Like teaching kids to understand, like, people that say these things, they're trying to get under your skin. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times I feel like there's a deeper level to it where it's like they don't feel good about themselves and they want you to not feel good about yourself too. So
Mm-hmm.
you guys can be on the same level and you're no longer in this position where they're looking up to you. Now they're looking across at you. And it's a constant struggle because there are those deep things people can get at you with, and it can ruin your day,
Yeah,
and with
absolutely.
kids that are influenced and they're already having a hard time, like, people have no idea how much their words sting. But it's kind of like when we were kids, it was like, so what is it? Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me, or something
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Yeah, it is.
And so it's been around forever, but now it's so much easier for people to attack each other. And really, there's probably nothing we're going to be able to do about stopping people from saying what they're saying. But there is something that we could do about how we hear it and how we listen to it and how we look at it. And if we can have sympathy or empathy
Mm-hmm.
for the people that feel the need to hurt each other, then it'll be a lot easier to know how to deal with and understand why it's coming and where it's coming from.
Mm-hmm. So, how do you feel about like trash talking in MMA, like the stuff that was going on between John Jones and Daniel Cormier, or what usually goes on with like all of Conor McGregor's fights? Do you think that like sets the wrong example, or do you think that kind of helps the sport by making it a little bit more entertaining, or maybe a little bit of
I,
both? Or
I think both. I mean, I think it's entertaining. I especially, I mean, I really like to focus on the fight and just improving myself or getting myself ready. However, I don't hate when someone pisses me off. I can't say that. I hate when someone's coming at me with some annoying things to say or some catty or insulting things to say because, I mean, it's way easier to beat up an asshole. You know, it's way easier when someone pisses me off because then I don't have to find a reason to want to fight them. They gave me one, you know, and it's I don't know how to say it. I mean, putting someone in their place, proving them wrong, you know, taking that disrespect and like flipping it on them and, you know, punishing them for the fact that they're trying to hurt my feelings or they're trying to be insulting to me after I know what's gone into getting to where I'm at. You know, these kinds of things make it a lot easier because then there's something I need to prove myself. Like, you upset me. I don't want to be upset because of you. You know, like, who are you? You're no one to me. You're just an opponent, but now I'm mad at you, which makes it easier, you know? And I know that there's different strategies to that. I feel like Conor, when he talks crap, it's to get under people's skin, and then they fight emotionally, and he can capitalize on that because he knows what to expect. For me, no one's getting under my skin. If anything, me pissed off is a nightmare. So, you know, if Conor were to come at me, if my opponent were to come at me the way that Conor goes at people, I would be grateful because I would be thinking, you're dead. You know, like, keep it up. Keep saying that, you know, because the more mad you make me, the more mad that I'm mad. You know?
That's a good way to put it. No, I like that. It just kind of gives you the added, you know, energy and whatever to take that person down.
Right. And I one thing I think is that, you know, when me and Rhonda fought, I think she knew that, you know, and I was the only person she wasn't disrespectful of.
Yeah,
because,
I did notice
and,
that.
you know, and it made it hard, you know, where I was like, God damn it, like, don't be nice to me. Like, just say one thing wrong, please, you know.
Yeah,
But,
no,
you know, I mean, I was like, well played. You know, she wanted to cooperate in this sport, and it was like, because I don't have the shit-talking gene. And if I try to fake it, it just comes out extremely awkward and probably too far. Because I don't have, like, I'm a very real, authentic person. I've been through too much to fake anything. And so when it comes out, like, it's it's weird and probably a little too scary because I don't know where to go with it. I'm like, I will eat your face. Wait, too far? Burn your house down? I don't know what I'm supposed to say here.
All right. Okay, so last question, okay. You were at the Conor McGregor-Floyd Mayweather fight, I believe.
Yeah.
What did you think of Conor's performance? Does he need to stick with MMA, or should he try boxing again?
I think he did great. You know, I think it's funny because I could see his instincts taking off, you know, and then Floyd coming in with his head down like that in, you know, a situation in MMA is where you would snap someone or you would knee them or you would guillotine them or you would whatever. And it was like Conor, you could see the moments those things would happen, and he was like, wait, I got answers for this, but I'm not allowed to do them, you know. And then, I mean, you tape these pillows to your hands and you take away all your other weapons. It's complicated and confusing, especially in the real deal. Like, yes, you can train for that, but you're with people you know and trust. And granted, he brought in some training partners and stuff to throw him a challenge and something different. But to have this be, you know, something that's his first time, like, he doesn't know how he is in the first original combat of it. I mean, that's really where he gets to show himself what he knows about boxing, and I think he did a good job. And under a lot of pressure, I know boxing is a completely different politics than MMA. I know the money is different. I know the fans are different. I know the history is different. Like, everything is different and new and unique. And from what it sounds like, as far as I know Connor, I know his management, I know whatever, like, preparation for this fight, just on the logistics side, just on the professional, all of that side of a different sport and everything that goes into it, I think that things were extremely, extremely foreign.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think he handled it well. I was sitting behind Floyd's family for the fights, and that was maybe a bad idea to put me there. But uh, they, at one point, they're just screaming, that he's a little bitch, that he's a pussy, that he's whatever. And when Floyd
Yeah.
won, they turned around and they were like, "Oh, where's Connor's bitch ass friends now, or fans now? Where are they
Oh yeah.
now?" And I was like, "Right here." and then
Oh my God,
and
really?
then and then we ended up getting into it for a while. I'm pretty sure people recorded it too, which we'll see how that goes. Uh,
Yeah, I do need
but
to see that actually.
oh man, so I don't know. I think he did good. I think it was a lot of pressure that he handled well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think they could. I think, yeah, the fight could have gone a little longer. I mean, he never even hit his butt. I know we can get rocked in MMA and bounce off some walls and still be in the game,
Mm-hmm.
but they waved it off as soon as he kind of like stumbled into the ropes. And I do believe that he was fatigued. Floyd had a great game plan, which was to achieve that, like, in particular. So for uh, Connor to be getting rocked while tired, yeah, it makes him a lot more wobbly. But I do think he had fight left in him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, Kat. Well, listen. Thank you so much for your time tonight, and I definitely, and I think I speak for all of our readers too. We definitely look forward to seeing you in the cage next, and hopefully it's for some gold because you've been working really hard for yeah, UFC title, and we hope you get one soon.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Okay. You have a good day today.